Hello, my name is Sister Marie Muller, and I'm a Caldwell Dominican, currently working at Lagardère Academy in Upper Montclair, New Jersey. I have been teaching math in high school and college for the last 36 plus years. And when I first entered, I kept thinking, now what am I going to do with my life? Am I going to teach? If I'd like to teach math. So when I was thinking about that, I kept saying, now, if I'm preaching, why am I preaching math? What can I do with preaching math? So I decided to really reflect on that, and what I came up with is not exactly what I teach, but it's how I teach. It's how I bring about the confidence in the young women that I teach. It's how I help them to think better of themselves. It's with math, I'm trying to help them see creation all around us as having math in it, and therefore it's something that is very usable for their everyday life. But the most important thing that I've really learned is that many students are afraid of math. There's a definite anxiety there. So I started to go into math anxiety and thinking about that, and then general anxiety. So I wound up getting not just a master's in math, but a master's in pastoral counseling. The reason I liked pastoral counseling is because the anxiety that was involved in that, I really could work with young students and young adults. My classic example of a math anxiety is a college student who was an adult, and I said the A word, algebra, and her hands just became all wet and sweaty because the anxiety just came out. So I was determined to try to help that to be alleviated. The other thing that is very important to me is the old Chinese proverb, you can give a person a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach them how to fish and feed them for a lifetime. And for me, that's very important both in my counseling and in my math, because I can show a student how to do something and it's done. Or I can teach them how to do it so that the next time it comes, they can recognize it. And I think that's what's important about the math anxiety and the teaching of the math and preaching, because I am helping them to not just learn the specific answer, but I'm also helping them to learn how to do it. So I'm helping them to learn how to be themselves, how to be who they are, how to reflect on things, because math is also a development of logic. So for me, preaching is how you teach what you're doing, not just what you're teaching. So it's just very, very important that I was able to make that connection, because then I became more comfortable with teaching math as my ministry. Also part of my ministry, which I love in the high school, is being part of a play. And recently we put on the play Nonsense, and I had a role in Nonsense. I was Sister Julia of the Child of God, and in the play we actually had these long black habits on that were interesting, because the kids said to me, did I ever wear one? And I said no. And they don't even realize how long I've been in religious life. But I was explaining to them when they were asking, is there a mirror around to put their veil on? And I said, no mirror. I said, now you're really like one of the older sisters that never had a mirror. And they laughed, and they said, is that how it really was? So even just getting ready for this play for me, with working with the students, was also very helpful to help them to see that the different aspects of religious life that they're in touch with, rather than what we actually still have today. Another aspect that we did in the classroom was I worked with the art teacher, and we were talking about perspective in geometry and how important it is. And so there was a project that is on the wall of our school that the art students that I have in geometry were able to put on the wall with tape. And they were able to actually see the perspective, not just with pencil and paper, but actually see it on the wall, and they could see where it focused into the one point. So that was also another help to me with perspective, and trying to work with students and teaching them perspective, that it's always very important to look at things in different ways. And sometimes if it's not correct the way you're looking at it initially, you may just have to switch your position. And physically you do that when you're working with things, but also in math. You can always come at a problem a different way. You can maybe come from the answer and go backwards and see if you can get the beginning problem. You can think of a different way to do it. Instead of multiplying by something, maybe add something, or substitute a number sometimes. That's another way to solve it. So I'm also trying to teach them how to solve problems, and that you need many times to change your perspective. So math itself may not be a preaching subject, so to speak, but I found a way to find the preaching and the teaching connected.